I'm Linda Bennett, your spiritual counselor and psychic host for Metaphysically Speaking. We're coming to you on WTMY AM radio in Sarasota, also on Blab TV in Sarasota, and my website and YouTube, Metaspeak, METASPEAK.com. You'll get a schedule of the programs. You can look at our recommended reading list. You can look at the different aspects of God that we've posted up there. Different topics, different things that you might be interested in. You can leave your comments about the show or about topics you'd like to see covered there, and we will take a look at them. And again, they don't have to be long drawn out. They don't have to be an hour's topic, although they can be, because I'm always looking for suggestions. Frankly, I'm bored with all this because I know it. But I want to have you get new ideas and new impressions about things you maybe thought you knew, maybe an updated information. And I love sharing this with you. Last time, I did not finish covering my entire show, which is a shock, because I never do. It's very frustrating. I go, no, and I hit myself over the head with my pad. So we're going to start the show. It's going to be on angels versus ghosts. There are a lot of programs on television these days with idiots with their little meters running around in a haunted hotel or a haunted prison or haunted house. Oh yeah, there was something there. Oh, they've got their night goggles on. Somebody's always scared. Like they don't know where they're going. Then they look at their little camera and they see an orb of light or they see a shadow passing by. Yes, the place is haunted. Here's a secret, people. Hauntings don't have to be bad. Hauntings are not angels, despite what Christian fundamentalists would have you believe. Islamics believe, and Jews believe, and most Christians believe, yes, there are angels. There are different species, but there are angels. They're programmed, their DNA, their angel DNA is programmed for specific things. There is no such thing as a fallen angel. You know that expression, God doesn't make mistakes? Well, humans make mistakes. But in the DNA of an angel, it is specifically an angel. It is not a demon. Angels are higher beings who oversee activities, usually on a planet with humans, animals, nature, the ocean, dolphins, whales, oak trees, fish, species, fowl, that's birds. Elephants have their angels that watch out for them. Humans have their angels. Humans have guardian angels. So do animals that have special tasks, like, say, dogs that work with the blind. If you're a cat lover like I am, then you know that there are so many cats now that are being used in veterinary centers as little meters and greeters. Cats that get taken to hospitals to greet people because they're quiet. They don't bark. They don't jump around. They sit quietly with you as if you're a patient. You get a chance to stroke the kitty who's purring. There's nothing like a pussycat purr. There's nothing like a pussycat purr. And if you watch The Housewives, and I've desperately tried, but I really don't like a lot of those people. There's Housewives of Beverly Hills with Lisa Vanderpump. And she has this little dog who really doesn't look like a real dog, but it's a real dog called Jiggy. His real name is Gigolo, but he's Jiggy, and I've just learned why he's always wearing a little sweater or a little tuxedo for her daughter's wedding. And that is because her dog has allergies, and the dog has alopecia.
Baldness.
Which is a baldness. That is my executive producer, Shawnee.
Hello.
And the animal has patches of hair missing, and one of the things she's done, the vet recommended that they put her down. They put the Jiggy down, and she said, no, as long as we keep Jiggy out of pain and Jiggy's comfortable. Well, if you ever looked at Jiggy's face, that dog's in heaven. He's always curled up in her lap. He's curled up in her chest. He's curled up in her purse. And Jiggy wears the outfits because of the alopecia and because he gets cold. But she has Jiggy at the Children's Hospital for Alopecia patients. And that little Jiggy is working with children who are saying, look at little Jiggy. Little Jiggy can do things. Little Jiggy can go out. I can do things as well. So those little animals have special guardian angels as well. So every species of being has a guardian angel. and an archangel that watches out for areas of, say, the planet. You're familiar with the archangels Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel. There are thousands of other archangels whose names we don't know, and you know what? It doesn't matter. They know if you're talking to them. They know when you need help. And you might be calling on the Archangel Michael, and the Archangel Susan could show up. And it doesn't matter, because there's no jealousy amongst angels, and angels cannot fall. It is not in their DNA. That is a misunderstanding of angel energy, and just because an angel will destroy something, it doesn't mean the angel is bad. It means the thing needed to be destroyed. It's the cycle of life. And so the angel knows exactly how much to destroy, how much to preserve, because they are guarded by the Archi, A-R-C-H-I, or the angels that it's said have the direct ear of the God Force vibration, the God Force voice. And they direct archangels around the world, around the universe. Does that make them better? No. It means they're pure and do not have any karma. It means they don't have the same problems that we have. Neither do archangels. Neither do angels. That is different from, say, a beloved mother or grandmother or grandfather who watches out for you as well. That is a person, what we call people angels. People, not angels. You can have your guardian angel, which is assigned to you from the time you split out from the God Force to the time you're reunited with the God Force in your final incarnation. Whether it's physical, whether it's astral, which is where ghosts and angels and fairies live. And by the way, the Yeti, Sasquatch, they cross back and forth interdimensionally. And then the causal, which means it's just slight thought karma. And then souls go home again. Back in the giant wad of chewing gum that I say the God Force is like, because it expands and contracts and expands and contracts. Angels are DNA unable to commit evil. You may not like what they do, but there is a higher purpose. Ghosts are people or animals that are inhabiting an area because they say, some people say they don't know they're dead. How they couldn't know they're dead is beyond me. They don't get struck with a dumb stick when they cross over. But they cling to an area because they don't feel like they have finished their karmic lesson. They cling to the area because it has given them comfort. Or they cling to an area because they fear what the changes that are coming to that area and they want to see if they can stop them. Or they cling to an area, like this prison thing that I saw, because they're terrified of facing the music in the astral world. The angels have shown them where they will be, and it's not a happy part of the astral world because they've been cruel. So they hide. They have the choice for a while. The universe lets you screw up as long as you want, up to a point. And then your soul gets put where it needs to go. There's also a difference between a haunting and an imprint. I was asked to re-explain this. An imprint is like somebody takes film and they show it over and over and over again. A lot of that is in Europe, especially around castles. You can find it in the Hawaiian Islands, where the native people are marching towards another native tribe. It happens at the same time every day, rain or shine, and you cannot interact with them. And that is because the souls are no longer there. But the intensity of the thoughts and the actions that took place are so powerful that they've made an impression on the energy of the area, on the trees, on the flowers, on the grass, on the air itself. that inhabits an area. You can't interact with them. And how does it go away? The castle burns down. There's an earthquake. There's a huge storm. A lot of the hauntings that were in place in New York from a lot of the gangster behavior, whether it was Irish gangsters, Italian gangsters, whoever, a lot of that got washed away in the Hurricane Sandy. So it's cleansed an area because it changes the way it looks. So the impression is gone, everything is gone, and also a lot of spirits that inhabit the area, the ghosts, so to speak, are gone because it doesn't look the same. So it doesn't have any relevance to them, and they are forcing themselves, and their angels are forcing them to move on to their next existence. Angels are a separate species. Ghosts are a human or creature. I still have all my pussycats around me in the astral world. Not every minute. I don't notice they're there all the time. Sometimes one of them will rub up against my leg. Sometimes one of them will kiss me at night, and I'll wake up and I'll feel something fuzzy, and then I'll wake up and then I don't see them. But I felt them because they were kissing mommy. If you've had a special angel or a special dog or a cat or a special bird even, and you feel them around you, they are. Because they love you. And they miss you. And they want you to know that there is life after so-called death. Because you're just changing your costume when you die. You're not really dying. You're just changing your outfit and your location. And so that brings me to, if you've noticed, I've rewritten the Hail Mary. Now, the Hail Mary did not descend from the clouds. The Hail Mary was created by the Catholic Church. The Immaculate Conception had absolutely nothing to do with Jesus. It was explained by your priest that the Immaculate Conception means that Mary was born without original sin. And I said, what's original sin? And they said she didn't have any sins like all of you do. I said, well, how did we get sins and Mary didn't? Good question, people. Perk up. Ask questions. That is because Mary never inhabited a physical body before. Or she had completed her cycle and was back up with the God force. And she had no reason to come to the earth except for a special mission. And Mary Magdalene, yes, was Jesus' wife. We covered that in the Christmas shows. So I rewrote the Hail Marys. Do I have time to read it? Mm-hmm. Hail Marys, not just Mother Mary, full of grace. Now, the Catholic Church would say, the Lord is with you, meaning that she was carrying around God in her stomach, which is not true. So I said, God is with us. Blessed are you amongst women, and blessed are the fruits of your wombs, Jesus and the children. Mary Mother, Mary Magdalene, blessing Jesus, his brothers and sisters, and all of their children. Holy Marys, mothers of us all, pray for us and all good souls on the planet now and forever. Amen. Remember, Christians, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph were Jewish. There was no Christianity. And they came to the planet to be mothers and brothers and sisters to all beings. When a special soul arrives on a planet, it brings a blessing. It's like twinkling starlight or brilliant sunlight. And everywhere they are, people feel better. It's illuminated. And the Middle East at the time, like now, was a cesspool of anger and people coming from different cultures arguing with each other, and greed by the Romans, by the Jewish priesthood. There was greed and anger and power struggles everywhere. That's why it was Jesus that was crucified instead of John Smith down the street. And as we know, Jesus survived. According to Jewish custom, he was up there for several hours, obviously in agony, fainted from pain, was taken off the cross, brought to a tomb owned by Joseph of Arimathea, who was Mary's brother, Mother Mary's brother, dressed with all of the medical supplies they had purchased, healed up, and was out the third day. Why 3 days? Body, mind, and spirit. The 3 levels: physical, astral, causal. The number 3 is important because it's the Trinity, the Father, the Mother, the Child. There is no Father and Son and a ghost that creates anything except confusion. Creation is a father, a mother, a child, where there is a physical life form. There are planets, the Earth used to be one, where you created life by thought, which is the purest way to do it. A mother, a father create life. So that is why I changed the Hail Marys. Some of you may like it. Feel free to copy it down and say it, make it part of your prayer. And you should be meditating and praying every day. And make it part of your life. Or share it with someone. Or give it to your local Catholic priest and watch him turn apoplectic. Unless he's one of the enlightened ones, and I used to counsel 2 priests years ago, as well as 2 rabbis, a Greek Orthodox priest, I think only 1 minister, and the ministers were kind of fearful of me, because they don't really have a grip on the spirituality of everything anyway, sadly. Some do. And some are very congenial, and some are very hateful. And that is throughout life. Some neighbors are a delight, and others are simply nasty and you could do nothing about them, except send them a beam of light. You be the gracious one. Come on back after this break. Welcome back, everyone. This is Linda Bennett, your spiritual counselor and psychic host for Metaphysically Speaking. Again, I want to thank the people who have found me, who used to watch my TV show in the Pinellas County area. You can find it on Blab TV in Sarasota and WTMY AM radio in Sarasota. And, of course, right here on the web and Facebook. I was going to say Teletubbies. Remember that children's program? I don't know if it's still on.
Facebook,
YouTube.
Twitter, YouTube, and now Blog Talk Radio.
In Sarasota as well.
On the web.
On the web!
Yes.
There's more technology than I am familiar with. Believe me, people. Which leads me to this quotation. Ray Bradbury, who was a very famous science fiction writer, died last June 5th, 2012, in his 12th house transit, which means 40 days before your birth energy sets in, 40 days before your rising. It's like your birthday and your rising sign. You wind your clock. Goes tick, 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 tick. You're at your lowest level of energy 40 days before your birth. A sign sets in 40 days before your rising sets in. And if you go through a cemetery, you will be amazed at how many people died a month or 2 before they were born. So Ray Bradbury had this fabulous, fabulous quotation from an interview in 1976. And it's the following. I'm not afraid of machines. I don't think the robots are taking over. I think the men who play with toys have taken over. And if we don't take the toys out of their hands, we are fools. We are fools. So there is a man who understood technology. I used the word gracious before, and that is my favorite word in the English language. In the last break, I ended with the word gracious by you being gracious to a grumpy neighbor. And the word gracious encompasses love. Because by being gracious, you are displaying divine love. You're still not going to like the person if they're nasty. It's hard to like someone who's nasty. But if you make an effort not to dislike them actively, then it gets easier. If you understand that, yes, they are a spark of God just like you, but they're confused about their role on the planet, Maybe they've been abused in some way, and their stupid response is to abuse back. My question is, if you've been abused, you know how awful it is. Why would you want to do that to somebody else? But that's another show. So, by being gracious, you are being the God force. Machines are part of technology. Machines cannot be gracious. The people who want machines to take over the world and do everything for us, it's the people designing the machines who do that, not the machines. The machines couldn't care less. They're inanimate objects. The problem is we program intelligence into them. And with these new machines and the new chips, they just keep duplicating and improving upon and duplicating and learning lessons faster and faster than we can. So these sci-fi movies like Battlestar Galactica, where the Cylons took over and they took human form to fool everybody, that is a possibility. It wouldn't be allowed on this planet because there are universal laws for every planet. And the angels watch out for that and guide that. It would only allow things to go to a certain point. However, humans desiring this, humans desiring machines doing everything for you, are showing part of the greed that I talked about in the last show, where you get so greedy for something that you want, or extra time, or extra apportionment of something you may not be entitled to, want other people to do their work for them. You can't get out of your karmic responsibilities. Your karma is a collection of cause and effect from every lifetime. It's a collection of every thought, every deed, every reaction. If somebody smacks you, do you smack them back? No, you turn the other cheek, which is one of the things Jesus taught. It's one of the things the Buddhists teach. You have two thoughts in Buddhism. One is right action. It's always right action. So if you retaliate, you should retaliate because you're protecting someone else, or you're going to stop a thug who's going to ruin the village and destroy the village. And so you retaliate, and you know that you're taking on the karma for retaliation, but you're saving others. The other thought is you do absolutely nothing. Let evil run its course because it'll burn itself out. And since there's no such thing as death, you're not really killing anyone. That's why Buddhists say if you rescue somebody from death, you are now responsible for every good and bad action they take. Because if they were supposed to die and you interfered in that process, you have interfered in the lives of how many people this person will affect. Think about it. Should you save a murderer and a rapist? I wouldn't. Should you save a mother and a father with children, and you know they're good people? I would try. Should you save an animal by not driving like a nut job on the road? Yes. Should you try to run animals over? Absolutely not. And what will happen in the next lifetime, by the way, for you animal abusers, is that you will be born into the body of that type of animal, and you will be abused. Just as horribly as you abused others. And there's abuse by neglect. No food, no water, no exercise, no good conditions, no protection. You'll get it all. You reap what you sow. And angels always oversee every event. There are angels for families. There are angels for communities. There are angels for states. There are angels that deal with the weather, the guardians of the elements. There are angels that deal with countries, country karma. Angels that deal with the oceans. Angels that deal with religious ideas and they try to modify them and bring sanity. There are angels that deal with people who have been so injured and damaged in other lifetimes that they bring with them the idea that there is no God. We were talking in class the other night about Bones. And if you watch Bones on Fox, which I think is a great show, it's based on the life of, I think her name is Kathy Reich, who was a forensic anthropologist at the Smithsonian. Bones had an unfortunate childhood with her brother. Her parents disappeared. She didn't know they were in witness protection, blah, blah, blah. Her mother died. And she has always been an atheist. Well, she was shot, and she had a near-death experience. And then, for the second time in the show, she died again, and she went back and she saw her mother. And she said, by the way, tell your father that I always knew the first gift he gave me was stolen. So she comes back and tells that to her husband. I can't think of his name. In the show, he's Celie Booth. He used to play Angel along David Moran's. Yeah. Right. And then she tells her father, who's played by Ryan O'Neal, by the way, Mom said. And he said, nobody knew that. So now she has her eyes opened that there is life after death. The soul doesn't perish. And the soul goes on, which I think is great. I just think it's great that a mainline show like that is showing very comfortably, very calmly, very peacefully.
Really well done.
Really well done. A fact of life, which is that we continue on as sparks of God. Now, before I forget, because I ran out of time in the last show, this is the Chinese New Year, the year of the snake. Last year was the year of the dragon. And I will read to you about the snake. If you're born in 1905, 1917, 29, 41, 53, 65, 77, 89, and then 12 years after that, in Asia, the snake prefers to call himself the little dragon, indicating that this, too, is a lucky year. Snakes are wise, philosophical, calm, and understanding. They are receptive, and physically alluring, often fickle. I don't know what anybody thinks is cute about a snake, by the way. Success and fame come easily to snakes. If crossed, they spit their venom and can be selfish and strangling. They can be lazy and self-indulgent. Their innate elegance can at times be ostentatious. So the lessons are, enjoy your prosperity, but don't flaunt it. Be receptive to new ideas, but stick what you know to be true, and that is your spirituality. Enjoy fame and success, but don't flaunt it over others. And it calls itself the little dragon because the dragon, as you know, has a full reptilian body, but it has wings because it's like Scorpio. It was the scorpion or the snake, the ground level creature that can destroy itself. Then it evolved with wings, flying above the lessons of everyday life and the pettiness and the cruelties, and is now seeing the world from a different perspective from up in the sky. And then the dragon flies up into the flames and comes out as the phoenix. So the snake is very alluring. Remember that story? There was a song back in the 60s, the 1860s. I think his name was Johnny Winter, and this woman finds a frozen snake at her door, and she takes him in, she brings him to the fireplace, and she warms him up, and she feeds him milk, and she's stroking him, and all of a sudden he bites her, and as she's laying there dying, she said to him, "I was kind, I saved your life, I warmed you up, I gave you milk, I saved your life, what's wrong with you, why did you bite me?" He says, "Well, lady, you knew I was a snake." So it means that stay away from things that are inappropriate and go to things that are appropriate and be good and useful in your life. And the snake then transforms into the dragon, which is capable of great creativity and destruction. But it destroys what's bad. Destroying evil is the job of good. It is your job, it is my job. Frankly, I would like to eliminate. I had a conversation with my cousin Fran the other day, who was a psychologist, and we were talking about the idiots passing these marijuana laws that it's okay to get stoned and legally. And both of us said, because both of us came from alcoholic. Her father was an alcoholic. My mother and father were alcoholics, different kinds. Periodic alcoholic for my father, every minute for my mother. And I'd like to see alcohol abolished. You will live without a glass of beer, I promise. You will live without a glass of wine.
What do you say to people who, oh, red wine, resveratrol?
Yeah, grapes as well, Concord grapes. I was on the Dr. Oz show. Concord grapes have the same amount of resveratrol. I guess where wine comes from. It comes from fermented grapes. And now there are capsules that you can buy that have resveratrol in them. You don't need wine to live, people. In fact, more people who drink wine would do better without it. The only people who prosper are the ones temporarily prospering, and those are the people producing the booze. It is not your job to come to this planet to dumb your life down, to stone or drink yourself out. You cannot learn your lessons. You cannot be a helper to others if you're drunk or stoned. I don't care how wealthy you are. I don't care what your last name is. I don't care what your family history is. Lay off the sauce. Lay off the drugs. They get you nowhere. In fact, all the lessons you didn't learn while you were drunk or stoned will be piled on to your next lifetime. So think of double duty.
We had someone on Facebook ask a question about, Linda, what about contacting entities through a Ouija board?
No Ouija boards. Why? Because they're a lower vibration. Yes, you can have a positive experience with a Ouija board if the universe or your guardian angel said, this is the only way this idiot's going to ever open up to something. So we will let a good grandmother or an aunt or a passing soul who's got information give information on the Ouija board. Don't use it twice. If you use a Ouija board, since it's a lower energy vibration, it opens up a window, a portal, and a lot of negative energy can come through. Same thing with going to one of these psychics who are gypsies and likes to cast the spells and tells you that they need $500 and they'll bury it on the full moon. You'll never see them. You'll never see the money again. You don't need to bury money to get more money. Just like if some idiot contacts you and says you've won the lottery, you need to send $500 for the entry fee form. We'll mail it out to you. You don't send anybody anything you don't know. You do not use Ouija boards because as a lower vibration, they generally bring lower vibration energies in. And evil usually presents itself to you in a very pleasant way. Because it doesn't want to scare you off. Until it's bloody good and ready. Then you're sucked in. Instead of Ouija boards, go to a good psychic, a good medium. Now, people are calling themselves mediums when they deal with people who are on the other side. I am that as well. But a medium in England is someone who allows another being to inhabit their body. They go into a trance and they open up to another soul. I wouldn't be a medium for Jesus. Higher souls do not need to climb into your body. They just talk to you. Everybody has had the experience where turn left, don't go, and you get delayed and you think, I'm going to be late, I'm going to be late. You get delayed and find out that you're passing an accident that you would have been involved in had you left on time. Listen to the universe speaking to you. Listen to that little voice. Pay attention if something is holding you back. There is a really good reason. You're not supposed to be involved in that accident. I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me. And I'm sure it's happened to all of you as well. Don't go here, don't go there. If you don't want to meet an alcoholic, don't go to bars. If you don't want to get involved in drugs, stay at clubs. Have parties at home with friends. Learn to make your own amusements. We're going to talk more about that when we come back with more Metaphysically Speaking. And welcome back, everyone. Again, this is Linda Bennett, your spiritual counselor and psychic host for Metaphysically Speaking. Again, you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on metaspeak.com, going on the web. You can find us on WUSF, and no, not USF. USF is the public station. WTMY AM in Sarasota, on Blog TV in Sarasota. Blab TV, Blog Radio.
Blog Talk Radio.
I'm so confused. I think there's just a little too much technology.
Twitter.
Yeah. I am not tweeting.
I am.
I'm not tweeting. I'm not twittering.
Yes, you are.
It's my executive producer who's twittering away.
I'm quoting her, just so you know.
Yes, because I am just filled with bright-eyed and bushy-tailed information.
That's right.
And she's sharing a little bit of it every day for you. And so I think enough with the technology. Besides, the more technology I'm involved in, the more confused my psychic energy becomes.
That's why we have a buffer around you.
Absolutely.
Like a big inner tube.
When I would walk into the TV station, they always knew I was coming before I even said a word, because the monitors would go bloof. And either they'd go off, or they'd get static, or they'd get the lines running. What the hell is wrong with this monitor? Linda must be here. So then I had
You're the talent, and you have peeps, or people, or wranglers, and all of those people are me.
I've got my peeps, yeah. And so then they used to be mad at me, but I learned to haul the energy in and pull it in tight so it didn't just blast all over the control booth. Anyway, so my peeps are twittering. It's not me, but it's things that I have actually said. They're not making things up out of the ether. Now, before we talk about meditation, which is the most important thing you can do for yourself and for everybody else, what can you do if you feel like you have a spirit in your house? Well, first of all, use your intuition. That's your gut feeling. Is it a good spirit? Is it a bad spirit? Is it something that's visiting, or is it permanent? Is it a relative who was nasty, or is it a relative who loved you very much? Is it somebody being a busybody? Or is it somebody helping you through a bad episode of your life? If it's a bad spirit, or a bad entity as they're called, then what you want to do is sit quietly and ask God and the angels for blessings and protection, and to send the spirit where it needs to go. It is almost never demonic in your home unless you're doing drugs or alcohol, because negative spirits are attracted to negative things. Smoking is another thing. The American Indian tribes used nicotine to capture evil spirits and then set them on fire or bury them, whichever tribe it was, and whatever they did, whatever their procedure was. They passed the peace pipe because each person was participating in the smoke of dissipating negative energy and creating positive cloud energy. So smoking, drinking, drugs, bad for you, bad for your children, bad for your pets. A veterinarian who deals with all kinds of animals, like Animal and Bird Medical Center in Palm Harbor, where we go with our babies, will tell you they're seeing more cancer in birds, more cancer in cats and dogs from people who smoke. Any moron, and I'm sorry if I'm insulting you, but if you smoke, you're a moron, who thinks that the smoke is only affecting them is crazy. Can't you walk through a parking lot and tell when somebody has been smoking? It's like this horrible, yucky, stinky cloud right there, and you walk through it. Nobody's around, but still it lingers. So negative spirits get attracted to you. So therefore, you sit quietly and talk to God and the angels and ask them to remove the spirit. You can also ask God and the angels if the negative entity, even though it's a negative entity, it may have a positive message. Say it was a nasty grandmother, but it's got a message for you that's important for you to know. Could you please be given the message in meditation or your prayers or in your sleep state? If you're a lucid dreamer, that means you see things psychically in your dreams. You see things clearly, you get the message. Sometimes you're an interpretive dreamer or a symbolic dreamer. I'm a very literal dreamer. If I dream of somebody I know, it's about that person. Otherwise, it's people I don't know or faces I can't quite see, but there's a message to be had. Or it's just clearing the junk out of my subconscious mind that went on the last week or the last day, just cleaning the computer, so to speak. If it's a positive spirit, again, in your prayers and meditation, ask God and the angels for an explanation. Who is it? Sometimes if you're clairvoyant, that comes from the French term voir, which means to see. I'm clairvoyant. I see the person. When I first moved into the house I'm living in, I smelled pipe smoke, and obviously I don't smoke, and no, it was just me in the house. And then I got this vision of this man in a tweed jacket with the patches on the elbows, glasses, slicked back hair, partially bald, very studious looking, very businesslike, smoking a pipe. And I had no idea who it was. And I was telling the then sprinkler repair guy who it was, and he was watching my show, and he knew that I was psychic, and he looked at me. His father was there with him. His father dropped the screwdriver and backed out of my garage. And the man said to me, "You've scared my father." I said, "Why?" I said, "I don't know who this is." He said, "I'll tell you exactly who it is. It was the guy who I bought the house from, the wife who was a widow. It's the guy who used to own this house. And he would be out here talking to us a mile a minute, delaying us, and we were charging by the hour, so what did we care? Delaying us in our work and following us around." I said, "Even in the dead of heat, a tweed jacket?" "Yes." He always had a shirt, a dress shirt, a tie, and his tweed jacket every single day. He had been an accountant. They were very wealthy people. This is not a large house. They had my favorite china, which is called Westchester. It's ivory china with a large gold rim around the edge with scrolling on it. Set of 12, matching glasses, matching goldware. And they traveled everywhere. They had no children. They traveled all around the world. And this man was letting me know, because I said, "Okay, now that I know who it is, I'll talk to him." And he was just following around because the house was pure white, and I do not like pure white unless it's the snow. I don't even have white sheets because I feel like I'm in an institution if I have a white sheet. And so he was interested in me painting the house fuchsia, a soft fuchsia, but fuchsia nevertheless. And the guest room is forest green. My bedroom is dusty pink. And he was astonished at these colors. But then, as he kept appearing day after day, he kept seeing, I was hanging drapes and what color the couches were, and carpet is white, and all this, and he was astonished, and he was fascinated. I said, "Okay, enough with the pipe smoke. You cannot smoke a pipe in my house. It's not your house anymore. You can come visit once a week and see the changes, and when I'm tired of you, you will go bye-bye." And he did. He listened to me. I would always know because I'd smell the pipe smoke first, and then I'd see that he was throwing it away, and then he was walking around with his hands behind his back from room to room. No, he seemed pleased, and he also liked the fact of my landscaping. I was fixing the house up outside. Looks totally different. I have neighbors stopping me all the time, asking me what this plant is and what that plant is and how much water does it need. And so he was amazed at the transformation of the house. I haven't seen him in a couple of years. He's moved on. I never, however, felt the spirit of his wife, who was, remember, mad that she sold me the house.
She was crabby.
She was crabby and tried to undo the contract that I created and had her sign that I would rent it until the house closed. She brought it to an attorney to see if she could break that contract, and the attorney said no, her attorney did a good job. Well, guess what, people? I had 2 years of contract law. I can draw up a contract. And so she could not break the contract of me renting the house until it was sold. So I have never felt her because she was so resentful. She doesn't come back. But I do feel other spirits periodically. I feel my father's mother. I'll feel my father occasionally. I'll see his birthday on the clock constantly, 4:11, 4:11, 4:11. I've said 100 times, so what do you want already? Do something spectacular for me. My childhood sucked. You can fix things now. Still waiting. So just because you talk to them and they're good souls doesn't mean they're going to do anything for you. So, do you want to get rid of a spirit in your house? Well, you want to live in your house by yourself except for your angels. You can say you can come visit every Thursday at 2, or once a month, or once a year. I had to have an aunt of mine, which I had a dream about, Alice, the other night. She died of throat cancer. She was coughing on, she had part of her throat removed. She had one of those speaker things, and she was on a bus, and she started coughing. She coughed up blood and choked to death. And I couldn't understand for years why I would get this choking feeling. Yes, my mother tried to choke me to death, but I knew who she was. But I would get this choking feeling for years until one day she stood in front of me and then showed me her throat. And I said, "Oh, it's you, Aunt Alice." I couldn't believe it. I said, "Okay, look, I'm thrilled to know that you're looking out for me, but you got to back off. I can't keep this choking feeling." It happened when I was driving. It would happen when I was teaching class. It would happen watching television. It would just she would come and she'd let me know she was there by the choking feeling. Not great. So I set the parameters and she respected them. I haven't felt her in years. She's moved on to another level of existence, and I wish her well because she did love me very much. I feel my grandmother, my father's mother. I feel my Uncle Gene, who was my father's baby brother, who also died of cancer from smoking. All these people died from smoking. And I really loved him because he was very kind to me and understood my mother was no queen and no princess and no nice person, and was just a good influence in my life. So when these people pop in, you feel them briefly. I see them smiling at me. They'll stay for a minute or two and off they go. That's warm. That's loving. That's nice to have. They're not haunting me. They're not bothering me. If you feel you can't get rid of the spirit, if you have a priest or a rabbi, or there's a psychic in the area who will clean the house, and you can't do it yourself, ask them if they can help you. Most of the time, the answer will be no. Because number one, they really don't know what they're doing. Number two, if they're a Catholic priest, they'll be able to help if the spirit's Catholic. And they'll think they'll be banished to hell. That's the only way it'll help. If you are plagued by a negative spirit, ask your guardian angel to tell you why. Maybe that negative spirit is negative, but they're not trying to harm you. They're trying to teach you a lesson so that you don't make the same mistake. And when you learn that lesson, they feel their job is done and off they go. Surround yourself, your loved ones, your pussycats, your puppy dogs, your birds, your hamsters with light. You should pray, which means you're talking to God, and meditate, which means God's talking to you, every single day, at least once. Even if you get up in the morning and say, "Good morning, God. Good morning, angels." I look out my window, I see who's scrambling around in the back, whether it's the squirrels or the birds, in the ponds or whatever, taking a little drink, or up in the bird bath, or a rooster has adopted me. And the rooster saw me yesterday morning, ran from the neighbors in the back, all around, stood in front of the back window and looked up at me. You know how they have the eyes on each side, looked back and forth up at me, and then took off to the front of the house. I had to go in the front of the house, feed the rooster, because that poor little guy was cold. And you will find that you surround your creatures and your property with God's brilliant white light. I put my house, my daughter's house, and her husband's house in a giant pyramid of brilliant, blinding white light, surrounded with angels. Now, the light is already there. I'm just reinforcing it and asking for special blessings. I also do that with the neighborhood, and I do it with the entire planet. And remember, if you use the pyramid energy, put the bottom on it. The pyramids have a bottom. 4 sides, 4 triangle sides, 1 square bottom. If you use a globe energy, make sure it's a solid globe. Doesn't matter. God doesn't care. You're just asking for a blessing and using your own God spirit to enhance that blessing. You are using your free will to bless other people, other creatures, other circumstances, and you are getting the blessing of meditation, which takes practice. Sit up straight in the chair, palms open in the lap or folded so that you're making a circle. Buddha has, a lot of the Buddha statues have this where he's making a circle with his hands. That's all-encompassing energy, whichever is more comfortable for you. Slow down your breathing. Turn off the phones and the televisions and the computers. No sound. You can use a little low background classical music if you like, or New Age music. And focus of just above your nose, between your eyebrows. That's your third eye. That's where I get my pictures when I'm getting a psychic impression. And you can repeat Amen. You can repeat Om, which is where Amen comes from. You can repeat Om Mani Padme Om, which means the Mother-Father aspect of God. And quietly say that to yourselves, focusing, slowing your breathing, watch your breath, and let your mind go deeper and deeper and deeper. You are not self-hypnotizing. You're not counting backwards. You and the universe are just reconnecting. You're taking the plug and just pushing it harder into the socket. Because your soul is a spark of the original energy of the universe. Whatever you want to call it, I don't care. It knows you're there. You're part of it. Like you know where your pinky is. You know where your eye is. God knows where you are. And ask your angels for a blessing. Ask your angels to make it a positive experience. Sometimes you may see things that are frightening you, but you need to know about them. So don't jump up and say, oh, it's evil. It's not evil. Talking to God is never evil. Listening to God and the angels is never evil. It's your right. As a spirit of the universe, it is your universal right to talk to what created you. And if your dog or cat come in and sit down, let them stay. I know a lot of people say, oh, chase them out. No, they're part of the divine energy too. They're part of the blessing of your house. Every cat I've ever had has always wanted to either be in my lap or on my feet when I've meditated. When I had 3 cats, one was in my lap, one was on each foot. Talking to God and the angels is a blessing, and it will help you be more gracious. Thanks for being with us. This is Linda Bennett with Metaphysically Speaking. See you next time.